First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
The National Hurricane Center has begun issuing watches and warnings for north central Florida ahead of Hurricane Milton's landfall later this week. Traffic on I-75 has been packed and slow moving for much of the day due to the mandatory evacuations underway in the Tampa area. State emergency management leaders say this is likely the largest amount of evacuations to happen since 2017. And all this comes as local leaders are working to quickly transition from Hurricane Helene recovery to Hurricane Milton preparations. The major hurricane is barreling towards the Gulf Coast of Florida, and meteorologists say it will likely make landfall on Wednesday. This is WUFT's First at 5. I'm Natasha Holt.
And I'm Alex Land. Hurricane Milton was upgraded to a Category 5 storm and will make landfall less than 2 weeks after another major hurricane, Helene. Let's get into the very latest. In the last hour, an evacuation order was put in place for mobile homes and RVs in Marion County. Alachua County Public Schools just announced school closures for Wednesday and Thursday. The Florida Highway Patrol and Department of Transportation have activated shoulder travel in the northbound lanes of I-75 to deal with the influx of traffic heading north. We have live team coverage of how north central Florida is preparing. We begin with UF meteorologist William Maxham live in the weather studio with the latest advisory out on Hurricane Milton.
Yeah, Milton is a monster. Stepping aside, you can clearly see where the center of this circulation is, just a pinhole eye here and little dots around there. Those are lightning strikes. This storm intensified very rapidly. Currently, it is packing winds of 180 miles an hour, making it a very strong Category 5 hurricane. It's moving to the east at 10 miles an hour. And so we put this into motion. We're expecting it to make landfall late Wednesday, early Thursday morning, potentially as a major hurricane, a Category 3, and it's going to maintain hurricane strength as it crosses the peninsula. However, it is likely going to be weakening as it approaches Florida. More on that in a moment, but this is a very dangerous storm. Already have alerts out. Hurricane watch is in effect in all this pink shaded area, and it looks like that has been upgraded to a warning as of the past few minutes. That includes Marion County, Levy County, and the western part of Alachua County in a tropical storm warning. And what we're going to see is a limited time to prepare through the early part of Wednesday. That's when you're going to have to do those last minute preparations, either to evacuate or prepare to weather the storm. Tropical storm conditions arrive Wednesday afternoon. We'll have more on this coming up in a few minutes.
As Hurricane Milton strengthens in the Gulf, Alachua County prepares for a Wednesday landfall. WUFT's Bailey Korinek went to a collection center in Alachua County where you can bring debris before Milton hits.
As residents are still cleaning up after Hurricane Helene, Hurricane Milton looms on the horizon. Alachua County is offering residents the opportunity to drop off yard trash at one of their collection sites like the one here, ahead of Hurricane Milton making landfall.
In the midst of back-to-back hurricanes, Linda Ballard's one of many Alachua County residents cleaning up.
We're trying to get everything cleaned up from the last one so that when we get whatever gets this time, it will be much better.
She and others discarded debris at one of the 5 collection sites in Alachua County, cleaning up their streets and yards before even more debris piles up. Doing so is a team effort.
We'd like to have good neighbors out there helping each other with trying to clean up before what's coming to us.
Currently a Category 5 storm, Hurricane Milton is expected to make landfall Wednesday. County officials say it's time to clean up before the rain comes down.
In an ideal world, we will have the resources to pick up everything before the next storm. That's not possible.
You can drop off your debris in the time leading up to the impact of Hurricane Milton.
We normally have a 1 load per day restriction.
But that's waived so you can do as much as you can before Milton makes it to land.
The county's collection contractors are still going up picking around trash curbside, so make sure to consolidate that into one single large pile and not to use plastic bags. They won't pick those up. In Alachua County, Bailey Korinek, WUFT News.
Mandatory evacuations around Florida are underway, and residents in Alachua and nearby counties have been declared for individual assistance by FEMA. Crews continue to clean up after Hurricane Helene in preparation for Hurricane Milton, but FEMA official Keith Turry says the organization is prepared with enough resources to combat the storm's aftermath. FEMA urges everyone, especially those on the surge zone, to prepare now for the worst.
Schools across the state are shutting down to give students and their families time to evacuate. In our area, public schools continue to announce closures. Alachua County and Marion County public schools will close Wednesday and Thursday. Levy and Citrus County schools are to close Tuesday and Wednesday. All schools are expected to reopen Friday pending weather conditions. State colleges and universities have also announced their offices will be closed this week. UF and Santa Fe College have announced closed campuses Wednesday and Thursday. College of Central Florida closed a few moments ago at 5 p.m. and until Thursday. All student-related activities, including exams and online classes, are canceled. Most expect to reopen on Friday, October 11th.
Levy County announced that Chiefland is out of regular gas, but supplies are on the way, and they still have diesel available, but supplies are limited. Evacuations are underway in parts of the West Coast, and I-75 has seen more traffic this evening as folks are leaving the area. We told you earlier that FHP and FDOT have activated the shoulder travel advisory for I-75. This is due to the increase in traffic from Floridians heeding evacuation orders ahead of Hurricane Milton. The advisory is in effect in the northbound lanes up until Interstate 10. Troopers are controlling the areas where Floridians can use the shoulder lanes. Traffic has been heavy for much of the day as people flee the area.
I highly encourage you to evacuate. We are preparing, and I have the State Emergency Response Team preparing for the largest evacuation that we have seen, most likely since 2017 Hurricane Irma.
Not only to prepare, but to evacuate and to ensure that they're keeping themselves and their families safe.
Riding out the storm in a hotel, you may need to think again. Hotels along I-75 in north central Florida are almost completely booked. On your screen are just some of the hotels that are full from Wednesday to Thursday.
And as you and your family prepare for the storm this week, don't forget about those furry friends without a home. Alachua County Animal Services said they are in need of short-term foster families for animals in their shelters as soon as tomorrow. If you're able to shelter a dog for 5 to 7 days, please visit Alachua County Animal Services tomorrow between 10:30 a.m. and 7 p.m. They will provide the supplies, you're the open arms. To keep up with the latest with the hurricane news and more, head over to WUFT.org and all of our social media platforms.
When we return, today marks the one-year anniversary of the initial fire in the Israel-Hamas conflict. How this issue has developed throughout the past year. That and more when First at 5 returns.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
It's been 1 year since the October 7th Hamas terror attack on Israel. It's the deadliest day in the country's history since the Holocaust, claiming the lives of more than 1,200 men, women, and children. We want to take you back to the rare event happening on our Florida roads right now. This is a live look at I-75 heading north in Sumter County, where a shoulder travel advisory is in place. You can see towards the left side of your screen drivers moving on the shoulder of the interstate. This advisory was put in place earlier today by state leaders to help with the uptick in evacuees fleeing the Gulf Coast ahead of Hurricane Milton's landfall.
As the battle over the GRU referendum continues, it announced it will set aside funds to help with storm relief. But the future of the Gainesville Regional Utilities Authority Board is still being decided. The board has ignored their concerns about wanting local control. The advisory board asked a judge to keep the referendum off the ballot, arguing that the language is misleading and that it would violate the special act of the legislature.
If you are not yet registered to vote, you still have a couple hours left. The Alachua Supervisor of Election Office extended its hours today. Workers will be available to assist in person and via phone until 7 p.m. Reminder, this deadline is only for registration. You have until Election Day to change any of your information, but officials urge you to do so as soon as possible to prevent any poll location issues.
Hurricane Milton looks like it's headed into the record book as it keeps intensifying. We'll have the latest coming up.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Welcome back. Milton looking like a buzzsaw on the infrared satellite. You can clearly see where the center of this storm is. It's tracking pretty much to the due east. Lots of lightning around the center of the storm in the eye wall, indicating its intensity. It's headed for Florida, and it is going to be interacting with a front as it gets closer to Florida, say late tomorrow into early Wednesday. That's going to weaken the storm a bit, but it's still going to be a very powerful storm, likely still a major hurricane when it makes landfall Wednesday evening into early Thursday. Here's the latest track as of the 5 o'clock hour. 180-mile-an-hour winds. The Category 5 cutoff is 157, so it's way above that. It is expected to maintain that strength into the major category strength above 115, 120 miles an hour when it makes landfall. This is either going to be very late Wednesday night or early Thursday morning, but we're going to start seeing impacts from the storm starting Wednesday afternoon. The morning hours are going to be all that is going to be safe to do anything on Wednesday. Really need to buckle down after that. That track coming right over the center of the peninsula, and it's likely, like as I said, going to be a Category 3 when it makes landfall. And we already have hurricane warnings in effect all the way up into Orlando and northward up into Marion County, Levy County, and Alachua County. The western part is under a tropical storm warning. We're expecting very intense winds as it moves through the state. Where we have this purple shading is where we could see major Category 3 winds. That includes all of the Tampa area, Sarasota into Fort Myers, and the red area is where you can expect to see hurricane force winds. And yes, that does include all of most of Marion County. Ocala likely going to see hurricane force winds and above. Alachua County, at least, we're going to see winds at tropical storm strength, but perhaps into hurricane strength as storm surge. Going to be big with this one as well. A little difficult to see here, but through the Tampa area, we're expecting up to about 12 feet. Storm surge zooming in a bit. That amount gets smaller as you head northward, but in Levy County, up to 6 feet of storm surge is possible with lesser amounts up into the Big Bend. And tracking when those impacts are going to be moving into the state, we're looking at relatively calm overnight and most of the day Tuesday, so take care of those last preps. But in the overnight, Tuesday into early Wednesday morning, that's when things are going to deteriorate. That eye going to be right offshore around Wednesday into the evening, and after that, it is going to be very nasty. Rainfall totals potentially over 5 inches, 7 inches closer to the coast, and there could be some isolated spots picking up a little bit more than that. But it's going to move out of here quickly. Things improve drastically by Thursday afternoon, and the weekend actually looks nice, but this is going to be a major storm with impacts that we're going to talk about for years.
Coming up in sports, Gators football got another win in the Swamp this weekend. And WFT's Talia Baia will bring you all the details surrounding the postponement of the Holt versus Gainesville High football game.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Welcome back. It's time to talk sports. Even through the rain, the Friday night lights shine brightly on Citizens Field as Holtz took on Gainesville High. Holtz dominated from the start and ended up leading 21-7 in the third quarter. However, heavy rain caused the game to be postponed to be finished tonight. WUFT's Talia Baia investigates how the postponement might affect things tonight.
I'm Talia Baia reporting live at Citizens Field. Holtz is currently gearing up to take on Gainesville High School tonight at 7 p.m. to finish what they started. I was able to talk to head coach Mark Whittemore and discuss how this absolutely chaotic weather is affecting the team. Take a listen.
You know, obviously it's out of the ordinary, but we've been through hurricanes before, and the rest of the community is going through it as well. So I think the kids are pretty resilient, and you know, we'll make it through. Obviously, it's chaotic, but you know, in chaos, a lot of people, you know, it brings people together. So
Holtz is coming into this game ahead by a full 2 touchdowns. We'll see if they can keep the momentum going tonight. Reporting for WFT Sports, I'm Talia Baia.
In the midst of the rainy weekend, the Gator football team grabbed another win in the Swamp, defeating in-state opponent UCF. WUFT's McLeish has all the details.
For the first time in nearly a year, the Gators have beaten an FBS opponent in the Swamp, and it's safe to say Gator fans are excited about it.
Florida's 24-13 win over UCF was the program's first big win in the Swamp in 364 days. It's been a long year for the Gators, but the team did not quit. Starting quarterback Graham Mertz built off of his great performance 2 weeks ago and led the Gators on 2 touchdown scoring drives. And freshman QB DJ Lagway led a touchdown scoring drive of his own. The Gators' hot start on offense gave them a 21-point lead at halftime. But for the first time this year, the game was won by the defense. The Gators' defense, which had been one of the worst in the country, ranking at 109th at stopping the run, held the Knights to 108 rushing yards. Florida head coach Billy Napier credited his defense for its impressive turnaround.
All 3 levels of the defense played better. Now, I'll watch the tape and let you know what I think, but I think it's evident that we took a step in the right direction on defense.
The Gators still have a lot of questions to answer. Is the 2-quarterback system sustainable against tougher opponents? And can the defense build off of their great performance? With the hardest remaining schedule in college football, they're going to need to figure things out fast. And Napier will be the first to admit that.
And we know at some point around here, if we're going to be a contender, we have to play championship level defense.
The Gators took a step in the right direction on Saturday. Now it's time for them to take a leap.
Next up on the schedule, the Gators travel to Neyland Stadium to take on nationally ranked Tennessee. Reporting from Ben Hill Griffin Stadium, Ben McLeish, WUFT Sports.
Early this morning, it was announced that Gator women's tennis head coach Roland Thornquist has resigned from the position effective immediately. His 23-year tenure with the team comes to an end with 11 SEC championships, 4 national titles, and an 82% overall winning percentage. The now former head coach expressed how he felt it was a time to step away.
It's a good time now. The program is at a good place, got talented people, got great support staff, and it's just a great time for me to call it a day. But I will always, forever be a Florida Gator.
Lastly, the Jaguars got their first win of the season this weekend against the Indianapolis Colts, defeating them 37-34 at home. And for Monday Night Football, the so far undefeated defending champions, the Kansas City Chiefs, will host the New Orleans Saints tonight.
Quickly, excuse me, we're talking about a limited amount of time before we're going to start to see impacts, and you basically have until Wednesday morning to take care of those last preparations before you need to hunker down. Tropical storm conditions, meaning heavy rain and wind gusts over 30 miles an hour. They're arriving Wednesday afternoon and evening, so you need to take care of everything you need to do tomorrow. And of course, if you receive evacuation notice from local officials, you need to heed it. But the storm should be moving out quickly. Things improve rapidly for the weekend. We're into the 70s and actually kind of nice.
Thanks for joining us. We're back here tomorrow for another edition of First at 5.